So Graham Norton, your second win here. I interviewed you here 2 years ago for your biography, but you're back this time as an award-winning fiction writer.
I know, isn't that, it's wrong. It's embarrassing and it's wrong. I felt so bad because there are actual writers sat out there having just had a dinner thinking, well, surely I'll win. That creature off the television can't win. But he did. So I'm taking it home. I'm not that embarrassed, but it's lovely. It's very nice to win a prize.
You've got 2 of them now, bookends.
And they're quite substantial. I mean, they seem serious, don't they? It seems like a serious award.
When you get on the plane, you'll have to pay extra.
I will. And also, you could take a pilot out with that. So,
Not that we're suggesting anything.
No. Yeah, the papers on Friday will be full of it.
Sean started.
Yeah.
Now, in his Irish Times review, a very wonderfully enthusiastic review, John Boyne suggested that this book was so good that you may indeed have missed your vocation. The critical response to this book has been fantastic. How has that felt for you?
Well, I suppose my honest reaction to nice reviews to this book is always, how bad did they think it was going to be? I always feel like they sort of must have thought, this book is going to be torture to read. I will weep blood by the time I finish this book. And it's, you know what I mean? So I think, in a way, I benefited from very low expectations. So I'd love to write another one, but now I'm sort of terrified because now the bar is set a bit higher. So now it'll either be, well, it'll probably just be worse than this book and therefore a disappointment. So I think, in a way, the debut novelist has an advantage because there are no expectations, or if there are, they're really low.
I read, though, that you said you were surprised by the book you've written in a way, that maybe it's a little sweeter, a little more sentimental, that maybe you might have thought you'd write. Is that fair?
Well, I suppose when I was, an English student and reading a lot and thinking, oh, yeah, I want to write, I thought I would write a kind of really cynical, urban, urbane book. And, of course, but it finally came round to time for me to write a book. I'm 53, and I'm sort of a sentimental old fool now. And that wasn't the book that I wanted to write as a kind of, I was going to say middle-aged, let's face it, older person. And I am still surprised that this is a book that I wrote, but I like this book. I loved spending time with these characters and in this world. Whenever, I would kind of block out days in my diary, and when I saw that the blank days, I just it's a book day, lovely. So and again, I guess that must be horrible for actual writers to hear, who they're going, what can I write next? I must feed the cat. But for me, writing this book was an absolute treat because it's a reaction to everything else I do. Because everything else I do is slightly collaborative or sort of designed by committee. Everything I do involves a meeting. And what was great about this was no meetings. It was just me by myself in that world, and I loved it.
What's fascinating about the book is that we associate you with glamour on Friday nights and all these Hollywood stars, but you were spending your days with these very gentle and some quite crazy creatures in this fictional village of Duneen in Cork. You were spending your days with the local, overweight sergeant and the teachers and, all the local members of the community. Were you going back to your childhood and to your past for those characters, or tell us a little bit about the world you created?
Well, it was a way of getting me out of the book, because I think the great thing about being Graham Norton off the telly is you get a book deal. Oh, see, I'm so annoying. But so that's the good thing. But the bad thing, I think, is because, when you read a book, what's lovely about it is it's so intimate. There's nothing more intimate than that. Just you and that world. I never think about who wrote a book when I'm reading it. I'm terrible at remembering authors' names, everything. So I wanted to make myself as absent from this book as I could. But then they say, write about what you know.
But did you have to stop yourself? I mean, did you actually say, that's a Graham Norton line,
No, it was a decision. It was a decision that I would write about what I knew, but I knew that actually my life is so extraordinary and bizarre that I had to keep going back to try and find something that was a bit universal. And that's why I ended up in West Cork. And West Cork is a place I love spending actual time in, every summer and Christmas and spring and everything. So it was lovely to spend time there kind of in my imagination.
Now, what do you think you learnt from writing the biographies that helped when you sat down to write this? I mean, do you think you could have written this without having done those first 2 books?
That is a very good question. You're good at this. Yeah.
Thank you, Graham Norton. You can leave.
That is a very good question. I know it's a good question.
My mother's right there.
Oh,
She's
look,
so
oh.
proud right now.
I wondered who was air punching.
She's been in the car on the way home going, and Graham said.
No, I know it's a good question because I don't have an answer.
No, but you know, the actual discipline of sitting down, of writing, of creating a narrative, of holding an arc, you know, the biographies were your story, but you still have to write it, you still have to build it.
You do, but actually that was far more like homework.
Okay.
Because when you're writing a biography or a memoir, they're stories you know. So actually, there's some pleasure in it, in the writing, where you got the tone just right, or you landed a punchline at the end of an anecdote. But this is way more satisfying. So the autobiography and the memoirs, they were genuinely like, oh God, I've got to do, and I can't come out. I've got to finish this stupid book that I said I'd do. This, boom, deadline. I was on it. I was like, there you go. You want a novel? That's it. Finished.
Can I say one name to you? And I mean this in the best way because I'm probably her biggest fan. Maeve Binchy just kept leaping out at me.
Oh, is that interesting?
It really did.
And I take that as a huge compliment.
Yeah, I mean, just the affection, the warmth, and yet well able to put in that little kicker of a detail.
Well, there's a funny
the
thing.
humour of it. You know, I really mean that. I felt it was just in that lineage for me.
Well, that's very kind of you. And I said something when I was accepting this award as some sort of consolation to people who were actually full-time writers who didn't win.
We've got to get over this, Graham.
Yeah.
We now have 2 awards. Work
anyway,
with me here.
So I was saying to them that actually the consolation is that we were in this category, which is popular fiction. And, you know, in a way, we all wanted to be the cool kids. Like, everyone wanted to be the cool kid.
Ulysses 2.
Yeah. All of that. You just say that avant-garde thing. Oh my God, it's so clever. Oh wow. And
how original.
Yeah. And then you get to it, and you got to think, well, actually, I'm telling a very traditional story in a very traditional way, but I'm telling it to the best of my ability. And the fact that it's sold so well, and that doesn't happen just. I don't think that's just Graham Norton of the telly. I think it's friends telling friends, kind of going, oh, you know what? That's all right if you give it a go. So it's kind of a compliment, a real compliment, I think, to be in that popular fiction category, because I think we all resist that idea of being mainstream. It's like, it's such a kind of like, it's so popular, people like it.
They sell it in airports.
It's like a tabloid newspaper. But in fact, it's a real privilege to tell a story that resonates with lots of people, and people enjoy losing themselves in that world for a little bit.
So you're multitasking now, because obviously, without giving too much away, there could be sequels, there could be other parts in a series.
No. I mean, there could be.
Thanks.
But that's not what I'm going to write next. I don't know what I'm going to write next, but for now, I'm done. I've put these.
Are we done with Duneen?
For the moment, I may go back when the next book's a disaster. Oh, I'll be back in Duneen. Those characters will be dust off. Yeah, they're back, everyone. Remember them? You liked them once.
You'll be sitting here in a few years' time saying, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I don't know what drew me back.
The voices. I just had more stories to tell from you. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to keep writing fiction?
I'd like to. I would like to. And look, it's your fault. The people have encouraged me. The Board Gosh have given me a prize for the writing. Why wouldn't I do more?
Well, you are welcome back in our green room anytime, fiction or non-fiction.
Thank you.
Graham
Very
Norton,
kind of you.
huge congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much.